Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a masterclass with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch. Just starting out, I want to just say thank you to everybody that's been liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube and all other platforms. We appreciate it, and we would like to continue that support and just keep building as a community. So, Pooch, start off tonight. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and bless everybody, that they follow. Yeah, because it comes out every Tuesday and Friday, but why have to think about it if you can get send a notice, like subscribers from YouTube or wherever. I think they most of them send some kind of notice that something's up or whatever. Everything's fine. Just one of those days dealing with crazy emergencies. Well, it's an emergency to the person who has the emergency sometimes, but I'm a troubleshooter, so when there's problems, I got to take care of the problems. So just handle them and stuff. It's just, people get sick of, one of them that came up today, people get sick of people saying they're going to do something in a certain period of time, like produce a certain amount of songs. You hire a producer and you got papers and everything, and the papers state clearly that, so much has to be done each week. And the producer then tells the person, well, I didn't think we had to follow strict timelines. I mean, then why the hell is it in a contract, Oh my God. But meanwhile, this person's going crazy of what to do. And, yeah, I understand the problem, because the music industry always seems to be what is known as hurry up and wait and wait and wait for things to happen. You know what I mean? So, oh boy. But otherwise, I mean, everything's fine with me. It's just crazy out there. The virus is going crazy again and everything like that. And
Yep. And the weather's changing, everything's changing. So a lot of people are getting sick and that type of stuff. But I mean, like to bring it back to what you were saying, the whole timeline thing, I feel that that's such a thing that happens all the time, that is just like kind of swept under the rug, that a lot of people don't own up to, especially because, I mean.
Yeah, but if it's on a contract, now the first contract that came up, I wasn't around for, and then I had to work from that to do a new contract to take care of certain issues. And one of the things I always do is, you don't want it to last 12 years. We're working on a time schedule. When I do my 3-step program with people, and this person who was in, we have a time schedule. We want to release stuff by a certain date. And this was made clear in the contract. And the person like, oh, I didn't know it was strict timing and all this stuff. I mean, why else did I put it in a contract?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, on a funny one, you'll find the word contract and agreement, the words contract and agreement, interchangeable. And they basically mean the same thing. But if you want to get really particular, it's that a contract is an enforceable agreement. Okay. So even though agreements are contracts, I mean, it gets really weird. I mean, the whole law terminology and stuff. But I mean, when I write something and 2 people sign it and money's exchanged and everything else like that, man, you got paid, now do the work.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people.
Nice sum of money too.
That makes it even harder. I mean, that makes it a little worse, the situation, because I mean, the person got paid, and that's the one thing I've noticed. Like when I pay somebody full up front, like I always have to make sure and like be following up to them, make sure I get my product.
Well, I never do full up front. It
Yeah.
was like a certain amount up front and a certain amount when client accepts the work as done. And it's not that it's in the eye of the producer, it's the idea, eyes of and ears of my clients. You know, it's up to them because the person said they make changes and stuff when necessary. I mean, it's all clear. The contract's clear. I write in English, folks.
Yeah, you do. And it makes it a lot easier to understand because, I mean, when they use the big fancy legal terms that you literally need to go into a dictionary and go down the list and actually find, makes it.
That's my big thing I always joke about. I mean, with the stuff I teach and the way I write and stuff like that, and on a contract or whatever, you shouldn't need a thesaurus, a dictionary, or be a mind reader. You know what I mean? It should be really clear to you what something says. And if it's not clear, there is a problem.
Mm.
And sometimes it's caused by too many commas in one of these large ass paragraphs that keep going, comma, comma. And then you got to figure out, wait a minute, which subject are they discussing and which are the throwaway words before it comes back to the main part again. And oh, that's why a comma can be dangerous. Because I teach people, when you see a comma, pause. Do a little pause, read contract slowly, and do a little pause at that comma. So, you know, don't keep running on what it's saying. Take that little pause and then make sure the subjects are matching up of what's being discussed when you throw these little asides in.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's very good I mean, that's an important thing to do, to read contracts slowly.
Well, yeah, and what I have to do, and I'll be honest with you, it's one of my least favorite things to do is negotiating, because it's finding when it's not my contract. When it's somebody else's contract, I got to see what's been left out of it. And, you know, and obviously you can't see what's been left out of it. You have to know what's been left out of it. Now, there's certain things that are left out of almost every contract, which makes life a little simpler. I look for, you know, but questions come up when I read something, a contract. And by the way, let me stick something in here. A contract, as we just discussed with our situation here with this producer, a contract is a bunch of words. What counts is the people who are giving the contract. When somebody gives me a contract and negotiate, and I don't know that person or that lawyer or whatever that I'm negotiating with, I'm going to look them up. I'm going to check them out. I mean, you know, because it's the people. It's just a bunch of words. If one of the sides doesn't do their work, and it doesn't matter, it's the manager, the artist, the record company, you know, whomever and whomever. They both have to do their job or it's a waste. But like I tell people, it's very important. You're dealing with a person, not a piece of paper. Look up that person. Talk to that person. Talk to people that person has dealt with before. You know, check them out. God, with the internet today, you can check anybody out. I mean, there's, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and wait a minute, I don't see them anywhere, you know, after they're bragging about knowing all these people and all this kinds of stuff and things. But people should look me up. I mean, just put Professor Pooch in Google. You know, you should check me out. You're listening to what I have to say. You know, you want to make sure that I'm somewhat accurate. Get a professor, you know, put Professor Pooch in Google. There's plenty. And by the way, you can always look up stuff on this show at Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch. Put the whole thing in there. But, and then, you know, it gets more to the one subject matter because there's pages on me. Otherwise, just go to professorpooch.com. It's a large music business educational site, and have fun. Look around.
There's a bunch of stuff, and that's actually interesting. It brings us to our next topic, like making a great impression and how important that is, especially today. And I mean, it's a little different now because, like, I feel like even the normal guidelines that we would normally give people don't even really apply nowadays because you have to wear a mask and be 6 feet away from everyone. So
well, that's why I like video as a second choice. I mean, I'm so happy they created videos and Zooms and all this stuff. We're on Zoom right now. And I'm glad they created this stuff because I like to look a person in the face when I'm talking to them. You know, the eyes say as much as the words. You know, you can watch them. You can see their body language. You can see, you know, everything about them. And yeah, it is hard nowadays. You know, networking is like crazy. I mean, networking on a video, I mean, it's kind of hard instead of going up and talking to them. And network's an important thing with anybody's career.
Huge. I used to go to networking events just to meet people and hand out my business cards. That's really how I learned how to really do the guerrilla marketing behind all my music.
Yeah, and by the way, business cards, folks, everybody should have business cards. What's really strange to me is I have way too many business cards this year due to the fact that I haven't been with anybody to give them out. You know, I have all these business cards, you know, Professor Pooch cards and stuff, and well, everything I do, it's on it, but I'm not meeting anybody because I'm kind of sequestered, quarantined, whatever the heck you want to call it. I live in my office and rarely go out. It's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, it's a different world out here nowadays. So there's a lot more that you need to do to be able to get to know somebody, and it's totally different interaction when you're talking to somebody face to face. But when you're online and you know what I mean, you friend request somebody or whatever, I mean, it's a totally different approach. So you have to be very cautious.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, it's back again of, you know, be just as creative on the business end as you are on the artistic end, and find creative ways to meet people, talk to people, get in touch with people, whatever you need to do. Just do it professionally. Be persistent, but be professional.
Yeah, it's important. As you always say, making it is 1/3 luck, 1/3 talent, and 1/3 persistence.
Yep, and when you're persistent, you have a better chance of being in the right place at the right time, which is making your own luck.
So I feel it's important to also talk about today how marketing plays a role in music and how it allows some artists to just propel and other people to build a whole super fan following. And I feel like that's a good topic for us.
Yeah, well, boy, it's a gigantic topic, and we'll touch on what we can touch on within the allotted time period. Uh, but I mean, the latest thing, I mean, it's been very successful, but it's expensive, is what people like Billie Eilish just did. She did a live ticketed performance from a stage where they had lots of effects, and she was on the moon 1 minute, you know, and you couldn't tell. I mean, they're amazing at that stuff, but that's too expensive for most people. So let's go to what people, you know, nowadays can do. And there is live streaming. It's just, you got to stay persistent. It keeps coming back to that. But let's look at marketing. First of all, what, who are you marketing? And we're in effect going into parts of my step three of the 3-step program, which first is the business step, second is registration, so the third step is a plan of action. Well, part of the problem, I have to be general to really generalize right now, because normally what I do is I listen to the person's music, and that tells me a lot, because it's all about the person's image. You know, it's all about the image. It's the way you look, the way you come across to your audience, the way that your audience perceives you as a person, as a product, yes, you're a product for people. I'm sorry, a person is a product in a way after the artist, okay? And they have other products underneath, you know, their children, their songs and stuff like that. But the whole public relations is very, very important. And of course, it's hard now because a lot of it's not in person. Excuse me. So you have to really put this persona across on a video screen, whether it's a Zoom or Microsoft Meetings or Facebook video message or FaceTime, whatever you're using. It doesn't matter. You've got to put across this image of who you are. Part of it's going to be your room. What does it look like? Well, obvious from my room, you can see guitars on a thing back there, and you can actually see a guitar over there. Yeah, I got to remember everything's backwards on video. And, you know, you could see, now you could see, okay, this might be a music room. You see microphones, several of them here. So, I mean, it's your backdrop. Right away, person sees, you know, this is what it is, but this is what I do. Now, if you're a country artist, you shouldn't be dressed in thrash clothing. You know what I mean? A lot of it should be obvious. The part of the problem is people don't know who they are. You know, I even did this. It was kind of strange to some people. People who've known me for a while. This is years ago. I mean, when you see me, what do you see? Because there's my perception of me, but everybody else is going to have a different perception. A perception is your brain working, you know. Everybody should know when they, obviously, and they don't think about this, but every time somebody is introduced to somebody brand new, all of a sudden, they get this gut feeling. Now, they're not going to think about that, but what's going to happen is they're going to feel strange or feel friendly. And part of it is how the other person is, how you are. That's why people should get my book, God Didn't Create Alarm Clocks. It talks about these personalities and understanding yourself and understanding dealing with others on the creative front, let alone the business front.
Yeah, and I feel like another good tip for people too is like Pooch was kind of saying, but emphasizing this is don't make it hard for them to understand who you or like what you do. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's so many people like doing photo shoots of just them by the water and out in the wilderness and stuff like that, but they're a music producer or something. So it's like make it obvious with the visuals what you do, and that will help you actually be able to get across to people better. Because if somebody's only spending, you know, the interaction rate is very low. So like if you have somebody spending like 5 seconds on your page that had just clicked on your link somehow or came to your page some way, and they only have 5 seconds, they're going to look through the first 4 or 5 pictures, and if they don't like what they see, they're going to keep going.
Yeah, and you're very right. It's that instant. First of all, everybody has ADD. I mean, I know it's a disease, but everybody has some form of attention deficit disorder. In other words, no attention span. So they're going to do just like you said. They're going to go first picture, second picture. You know, it's got to grab them, whatever it is, that picture. I mean, your logo on your page, it should be something that keeps getting identifiable that they see over and over and over again. On all my stuff, you'll see the same colors on everything I do. You know, for all my Professor Pooch stuff and logos and all that kinds of stuff and banners and everything, it's all red, black, and like silver or white, depending on if it's showing clearly enough. But there should be identifiable things. It always reminds me of also something that I identified right away with the Rolling Stones and that large tongue. Right away, you knew it was the Rolling Stones, this large tongue sticking out, you know. But it was them. It worked. It grabbed the attention. You have very little time to grab somebody's attention, which also brings up the term is 2 different ways to state what this term is, but there's some people will call it an elevator speech, and some people in the film industry, it's called high concept. Now, what high concept is, when you're selling a show to a network, for example, or to an agent, whatever, you need to say everything it's about in 2 sentences. 1, 2, 3 sentences max. It should be short, to the point. Oh, it drives me crazy nowadays when people send me paragraph to paragraph before they get to the point of what they want to talk to me about. And by that point, I'm totally lost I'm way ADHD to the max. You've got to get to the point. So an elevator speech, and I'm guilty of writing too many words instead of not enough words, but I have to take these paragraphs and bring it down to an elevator speech of what's important to me at that point in time. An elevator speech is like you were stuck in an elevator and you could introduce yourself or your client or whomever you're pushing or whatever you're pushing in just a few sentences. Yes, have some more back in your head, but if they want to know more, fine. But meanwhile, you've gotten across what you're trying to get across. And God, that's so important, so important. And it's hard with me because I do way too many things. But, you know, I had to narrow it down into, you know, it's like writing lyrics. It's all got to fit on one page, like kind of thing for songs. You know, and I've been known to take 3 pages of legal pad to just get 2 sentences just to say exactly what I wanted to say. But it's got to come back to that 1 page. And yeah, you've got to get right to the point quickly, like you said, the way you look, and also what you're saying to the person. You know, I mean, you don't just start jump in and say, hi, I'm a producer, you know, say, hi, how are you? You know, be friendly, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the whole goal with that is to memorize your elevator pitch to the point where you can just recite it and you can just pick the pieces that are most important for that moment, because some things that you do may be highlighted better with somebody else that is doing that.
You're right.
Then, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of adapt when it comes to that. But even when
yeah, you adapt on the fly. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Your gut's amazing at knowing things. You know, and it just, they kid about trust your gut. Well, actually, scientifically, you got 3 brains in your body. You got your brains in your head. You have your brains in your heart, and you have your brains down in your lower dentian. And I'm not going to pronounce it right because it's pronounced different ways. DENTIAN. But it's your gut. And your gut has a brain of its own, just like your heart does. The heart knows a couple seconds, they've measured it up to 6 seconds before your brain, it becomes part of your brain. Your heart tells you to watch out for something, you know, before even the brain thinks. But you do have different parts. Okay, enough of the science physics lecture here right now. I get into that stuff because
that's incredible. I mean, that's an important thing to know, because I mean, that brings me into the music. I mean, everything like you were like kind of like how you were just saying a few minutes ago, it's got to be short, sweet, to the point. So I mean, like you have to. I feel like the number one thing that's missing from music nowadays is, like, in my humble opinion, is the substance and like what is being talked about. Everybody's so afraid of trying to talk about how they felt depressed today, or how they felt about someone that left them, or you know what I mean, they stubbed their toe and it really like bothered them and they needed some way to get it out. I mean, it's important to speak what you feel and to write that into music. And that's why I feel like that's what's coming back around. Like how history repeats itself, this is the next thing that's going to be coming.
Oh yeah, music runs in 20 years cycles. Smart producers listen to what happened 20 years ago and pick certain things out of it, because especially if they're dealing with the majors, because those people, that's when they grew up. So they'll recognize things. It gets into all kinds of stuff like that. But you said something very important. Yes, you need to get to the substance. And nowadays, because of the ADD and stuff, you know, which is technology, just keeps us going boom, boom, you know, cell phone, this, text, you know, everything's a mile a minute. You got to get to the substance fast, or you lose, just like having that elevator speech ready. You lose the person if you don't hit them right away. The top sellers on Spotify and all of them, they measured it down to the you're out of the introduction in 7 seconds max. And a lot of songs nowadays start with the hook. They start with the chorus. So it better be a strong ass chorus that,
Yeah.
stays.
No, that's important. I mean, that's how the pop music is, and that's the thing. The pop music, the reason you can make so much money with pop music, let alone just like from the charting and stuff like that, and just like the listenability. You could be listening to it anytime, any part of the day, blah blah blah. The main part is that people can cover it. You know what I mean? So a lot of people like pop music gets like a bad rap, but at the end of the day, it's you can make a lot of money off of one song if you were to play your cards right and position your ducks aligned correctly. Then
Well, yeah, and we talked about it, I think, in the publishing, because that's where the publishing comes in handy, because if you do a version of a song, you get paid as the artist and writer. But if somebody else does versions of your song, you still get paid as the writer and publisher. Hopefully, you have some of the publishing, if not all. And yeah, that's very important to have. And the songs that are usually coverable are like pop, R&B, country, dance, stuff that a lot of different people can do. And I'll tell you, like, a weird key of knowing how a song is great. A great song can be arranged into any style. I was just talking about it with a friend of mine. We were talking about songs that were hits at the same time in both country music and pop charts. At the same time, the same song in the 90s. I swear by the look in your eyes. That was a country version. And All for One, I think, was the group's name. It was an R&B group. They both were hits in two different genres. A great song is a great song. Now, you don't have to worry about covers and stuff if you're doing thrash metal or rap. I mean, it should be done once. That's all.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, depends on the artist and that type of stuff. Nowadays, they're kind of, like I said, everything's coming back around again. So just for people that don't know, I mean, typically the music that is coming out right now has already been planned and it was already finished 6 months ago. So if you're trying to achieve a sound, whatever is out at this very moment, you were automatically 6 months behind.
You're so right. And the thing is, I mean,
I learned that. I'll tell everyone. I learned that one the hard way. Okay, that and it works different out in New York. That's another thing I could say.
yeah, but the thing is also, it depends if you're an independent artist or a major artist. A major artist, yeah, they plan 6 months ahead of time. It's funny when people say, "Hey, Pooch, I got a Christmas song," and I say, "You're way too late." But this is only October. No, you had to have it finished in July or August with the major artists and stuff, because they got to plan the whole thing.
I saw some of my favorite artists. One of them being she's a pop singer, Ava Max. She just released a Christmas song like a couple weeks ago, just out of the blue after she dropped her album 2 weeks before that. So
it's odd that they released it so early, but you have to have it done and ready to go. I mean, it's with a lot of things. But the old saying was, they always say, listen to the radio, what's out there, and copy them. Well, that's ridiculous, because just like you said, it's changing daily. Look at TikTok. It'll change something in a half an hour,
exactly. The right thing. I mean, it's all about the visuals and the whole content itself. Like that, the TikTok is like, it's like a cool mixture of like creativity, like substance, and like a few other things that kind of just like, if you got something that's catchy and that gets to somebody quick or is super funny, like boom, it'll go right to the moon.
A great one is, it's been in the news a lot lately, is this guy was traveling with raspberry.
Yeah, the cranberry guy.
The song Dreams, and it brought Fleetwood Mac. The song's from 1978 or something like that. Yeah. It brought them back into the top 100 sales, and the streams are off the kilter. And even a couple of the band members did their own versions. One was on roller skates. And I mean, that this guy out of nowhere made, he's got 62 million streams or something.
Yeah, his name's Dogface.
Yeah, right. Well, I understand Dogface. Being a Pooch myself, I mean, yeah, but whatever. I mean, it became, you never know what's going to happen. How you going to copy something like, I mean, you can't copy what's out there now, because it's going to change. Now, indie when you do indie, you can get an idea, record it, and put it right out. Because you own it, you can do what you want. But if you're at the major, you wait and wait for it to come out. And then they might decide, oh, we're going to hold it off. I mean,
do you feel like that's like, would that be a bad move if you made a song and released it like the same day, like hypothetically?
it's happened a lot when there's been major events. And of course, I can't think of any right this second, but I know there's been like something crazy happened, and then they right away wrote something, recorded something that night, and put it out the next day. It's been done. With indie, you can do that. That's what I push for people. Own your own songs, own your own recordings. You don't have to get permission from anybody. Put this stuff out, because usually a record company needs permission from the publisher license. But God, if you're the same person, just say, I accept my own offer of this song.
Yeah, that's
So I
funny.
said to myself, kinds of stuff. I mean? It's just, man, I love control of the situation. I
Yeah.
mean, I wish I would have been, the teenage rock thing now instead of back in the late 60s and 70s when I was, in the majors and stuff.
It's a different game.
Because I had no choice.
Yeah.
I was under their control because that was the only way to get stuff out. There was no indie anything back then. So people are lucky nowadays. They look for the bad things, and there's good things that happen because of things too. I mean, this virus is horrible, but the pollution is down. I mean, everything has, you just got to look for the good things. It's your attitude. It's one thing in life you have total control over, and that's your attitude to anything. You can look at the good or the bad and say, well, some of this stuff's just all bad, Well, find a way to make it good or do something positive to help somebody else. Do whatever, but don't focus on the problem. You ain't getting nowhere.
Yeah. You can really dwell in that and again just spiral out. But at the end of the day, we all move in cycles. So I mean, you just got to go with the flow.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to go with the flow, but you can adjust the flow to, you use your imagination. You got creativity. You're in the music industry. You're listening to this show. You got creativity. So, just flow it a little differently. I mean, I have this saying up on my wall, which of course you can't see. It's behind the camera, but it says, I am simply having fun with everything and everyone. And I try to make everything into fun. There's no law against it, so I just, whatever I'm doing, whoever I'm dealing with, just like we're doing this show, I'm having fun, but I'm also happy to be able to help people, which makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Well, here's a good question that I have for you, right? So say you're like an artist or producer or whatever, and you have a whole back catalog of music. Is it better to be creating newer stuff that you're in the vibe now, where the stuff you had 2 years ago is kind of different or instrumental or anything across those lines? Is like, is it bad to have a paper trail of music? Because I mean, I know so from one perspective, it could be that somebody looks at an artist and says, "Oh, this person's been releasing music since 2012. They haven't made it yet. Blah blah blah."
I don't think, I mean, there's a lot of people that took 10 years to make it, okay? But you bring out a good point, but you said something very important I want to zero in on for a second. And that is, well, you're in the vibe. If you're in the vibe, right. If you feel the vibe of writing, right. The vibe's not there every day and not there all the time. You're in the vibe, take control of the vibe and have fun with it, create whatever you're creating. Yeah, I mean, my thing is, it never hurts to keep writing, because first of all, I mean, songs are timeless. It's the arrangements, productions, and the sounds that change. I mean, I've had songs taken from me for use in different people and things, I won't get into it, but that were 30 years old. because the songs don't change, the melody and words, it's the arrangement and production. It might be sped up, dances in, it'll be made into a dance song, things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong, and catalogs are really important and can make you a ton of money right now. Actually, if you have any hits at all and have a large catalog, boy, there's people all over looking for people. They're buying up these, publishing rights and things like that.
What would be a good size catalog?
It's a good size catalog. There's no number. The point is, if you want to get good money for the publishing company, you need at least 2 or 3 quote unquote hits, really good songs. And now I'm more into writing quality than quantity. Some people, they write a song every day. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. That's them, this is me. But I mean, there's been catalogs sold for, I'm sure, a couple hundred songs to a couple million songs, but they're buying them up.
Yeah, they are. They can use them. They don't have to pay the royalties because they bought it.
Well, the advantage is they collect the royalties because they own it at that point.
Yeah.
That's where they make their money back. But it's been very big because they're seeing with all the streaming and stuff. I mean, it's just like this song Dreams from Fleetwood Mac. Here's a song from the 70s, or I'm pretty sure it was the 70s. And all of a sudden it's a hit again. They bring they're finding that over 50% of what people listen to is from way in the past, not just everything that's out today.
Yeah, that's the majority of stuff I listen to too. But I mean, there's a lot of different parts of I guess the I don't know, music history that really intrigued me. I mean, there's there's certain songs that really stand out. Those are incredible. But then when you dig into the artist catalog, that's always my favorite.
Yeah, and what's really weird is that I didn't admire some people till they were dead. They died, and all of a sudden it made me curious, and wow, these are good songs. It happened to me with Tom Petty. I mean, I knew he had a couple hit songs that I liked and stuff, but I looked through his catalog. He had a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until he was gone, because my mind was just on other people and things. And I'll be honest, my mind's mostly on my clients and their music, and my people, their music, associates, clients, etc. Because that's my focus at this point, and my own music and your music and stuff. And by the way, I gotta state this because it's been driving me crazy. Damn, my introduction to the past and the end of the podcast with BACEFACE's music on it. And for some reason, I can't get it out of my head. And it's catchy as all hell. And then you should be using it for all different kinds of things. I just realized, because my video person picked it out of the songs that BACEFACE had, the tracks. And man, that's catchy as all hell. But sometimes I need to get out of my head so I can get something done. I mean, I can hear it, continuously going through my head. By the way, that is like so super duper important. If you want to know if a song's good after you do it, play it for people and see if it stays with them. It stays in their head. They can't get it out of their head. I can always tell with my client songs that sometimes it doesn't hit till 2 or 3 days later. It's funny the way my mind works with music. It's I'll hear something and I find myself humming a song. Wait a minute, I'm humming her song. Like one of my clients. So it's strange, but you want songs to keep lasting. I used to do this thing with my class when I taught at the Art Institute of Philadelphia. When I taught music publishing, I would have people bring in different recordings. Back in those days, it was CDs and cassettes. It was back in the 90s and stuff. And it was when hip hop was first, rap was first coming out and stuff like that. And whatever. And then, each would bring in, their own music people. They each bring in one song a week, and we would listen to it and talk about it. And the thing that got me is one of the things I always asked, after I play this song, you play it. And I asked them, okay, what was the title? They should be able to tell me what the title is. First of all, when's the last time anybody listening to radio or any broadcast where they announce, that some DJ or somebody announces who it was that did the song and what the name of the song is? And the record companies want you to be able to walk into a store or walk onto Spotify, wherever, and walk into Spotify sounds kind of fun. But you know what you're looking for to request it. It should, and also really important, can you remember any of the song after we would play it on the cassette machine, or a CD, whatever it was. And can you remember any of it? It should be stuck in your brain. That's how you know a great song. And it happens in every style of music. It's not about one style. I mean, there's been a lot of R&B stuff that, that's stayed with me, some really great rap things, but they had the hooks or something that grabbed me. My name's Slim Shady, please stand up. Please, you know what I'm saying? It just stayed with you. That hook is important, something that you can't get out of your brain. You might hate the song, but you got to admit it's well written.
Well, Pooch, I think that's about the end of the time for us today. And
already? Wow.
Yeah, so it's about, we started at 12. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is.
I'll take your word for it. Boy, this flew.
Yeah.
It happens. Well, and we're on, folks, we're on every Tuesday and Friday. Please stay, tuned. And as you see, we talk about everything and anything and everything. And we're all over the place with it, but you need to see the whole picture. Even if it's, you say, well, I'm not into publishing, I'm a manager. Well, you better be into publishing if you're a manager. You want to get the artists or whomever's got the publishing there, you want those royalties to make them too. Everything affects everything else, and everybody affects everybody else in the business. So I guess I'm supposed to say, tune in for the next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.